He's the former president and publisher of the Sun Herald, and now he's on the radio. Welcome to Coast View with Ricky Matthews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
I hope you're having a great day, and welcome to the Coast View, the show that celebrates coastal Mississippi and the men and women who are working every day to make this a better place to live, work, and play. Hello, Kyle.
Good morning, sir.
Yesterday was a lot of fun, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah, it was really inspirational hearing the legacy of Boyce Holloman through Tim and Dean. And, you know, you probably saw this, but the Facebook views are up over 1,300 already.
I have not seen that today yet. No, I haven't.
Man, it clearly touched a bunch of people. I want to thank people for listening to this show. And like our Facebook page, incidentally, SuperTalk Gulf Coast Facebook page, and tell your friends. My goal ultimately is to inspire as many people as possible. Kyle, why don't you tell people how they can listen to and watch the show?
We're streaming on YouTube every day. Just go to YouTube and look up SuperTalk Mississippi. We're also streaming live on Facebook every day. Wherever you get your podcast, from iTunes, Google Podcast, SoundCloud, it's all there as well. Again, Facebook, SuperTalk MS Coast 103.1. It's in Twitter, SuperTalk MSGC.
Oh. Any way you want to get us, you can get us. Kyle's the best producer in the world, even though his Chiefs won.
Well, it was, yeah, I'll take that.
Okay, well, anyway.
Anybody but the 49ers, right? It all goes back to the catch. I was a Cowboys fan growing up. So
it does. It does. All the dots connect.
Yep.
Hey, listen, my guest today is an example of why I wanted to do this show. My guest today is Dorothy Wilson. She's an author. She most recently published Unboxed, 25 Women Share How to Break Free and Soar. It's an Amazon bestseller. She also co-authored the book Women Inspiring Nations. She's a publisher. She's publisher and editor of Gulf Coast Women magazine. She bought that publication back in 2012 and has literally transformed it. She's the co-founder of Success Women's Conference. It's in the top 10 of professional women conferences in the U.S. She had over 1,500 attendees in it last year from 24 states. And she says she did this in her spare time. Right. She also happens to be the incoming chairman of the Coast Chamber. Wow, Dorothy. A close friend of ours described you this way. Dorothy is a mentor of women among women. She has stepped out in her faith to do things that are big. She has a lot to share about taking risks, about faith, about having a great support system, and being generous to others. And I can add to that, obviously, she can say a lot about setting and achieving goals. She's actually been recognized locally, the Spirit of the Coast Award among them. She's been recognized across the state, and she's been recognized nationally. And I'm proud to say that I actually worked with Dorothy for 12 years at the Sun Herald. She coordinated and helped to edit the Katrina 8 Hours That Changed the Mississippi Coast book, an incredible book that was a New York Times bestseller. She was the managing editor of a number of important publications during my tenure at the Sun Herald, not including the Sun Herald, of course, but also including incredible projects that were important to all of us. And one of my favorite of all time, the award-winning Beach Boulevard magazine. Dorothy, the thing that kept coming to my mind over and over again as I prepared for today was that time flies.
Yes.
Isn't it amazing?
It is amazing. It is great to see you again, Ricky, after all these years.
Good to see you.
A lot of people don't know this, but, you know, when I came in to interview at the Sun Herald, you were like the second person that I met with after talking to Roland Weeks and Mike Tonis, and I walked into your office, and you just started sharing your vision and your excitement about being part of the Sun Herald, and it resonated with me. And I saw a drive in you that it's like I can learn from this person. And so that was a big part of me coming to the Sun Herald.
Well, thank you.
And so when you say time flies, wow, it's like going full circle here.
It is. I never thought we would see each other in this kind of a venue. That is for sure. The other thing that comes to mind when I was preparing is I cannot tell you how proud I am of you for all the accomplishments that you have made.
Well, thank you, Ricky.
The listeners are going to hear that in just a second. But I think even more important to that than that is the incredible determination you have to make a difference.
Yes.
And as we will go through the various outlets you have today, when we were offline, I mentioned to you that I think in some ways you've only just begun, because you're understanding these channels of communication, these different ways that you can touch people.
Yes.
And you're just really just begun. It's incredible. Like, for example, the book that you wrote, and I was interested to read on Amazon that you referred to that as the Unboxed Book Project. But the name of the book, 25 Women Share How to Break Free and Soar. What? Tell the basic element of that book.
So I really had the idea to publish a book called Unbox for probably 3 years, 2 or 3 years. And I just couldn't get to it. I kept saying, okay, it's a new year. That's going to be on my top of my list. I'm a communicator. I'm a writer. This is easy. Just sit down and write the book. And the more I thought about it and thought about who I am and everything I do, I want to empower women, particularly, whether that be with a magazine company, whether that be with a women's conference. And I needed to stay true to myself. And so I asked myself, how can I publish this in such a way that I create a platform and an opportunity for other women? And so that really resonated with me, and I started calling some people and say, hey, I have this idea. I know that you've said to me before that you'd love to be published, you'd like to be an author, but you don't know anything about publishing a book. I do. I said, so let's do this together. And so I tapped into 25 women on the coast who I thought had a story to share. I thought what they had to say, their life story, would inspire other women. And so it made a lot of sense to me to do this project. And I'm so very excited about it. When we had our launch party at the White House Hotel, it was a crazy estrogen moment where it's like a big celebration. Yeah. Women showed up in their purple, and we laughed. Women shared pieces and parts of their story. They went beyond what they shared in the book. It was just a really truly special moment. So
the book is ultimately about not getting boxed in, not really reflecting inside yourself and understanding the potential of yourself.
Yes, and more importantly, understanding the things that have boxed you in. As women, we wear so many different hats. Often, we're a mom, we're a spouse, we have a career, we serve in our community, including in our church, and all of those things may seem like different pieces of our lives. But over time, we can become so boxed in by the responsibilities and the duties within those pieces of our life that we lose sight of what we were really created to do. What is really on the inside of us that is dying to be unboxed, and so that we can be like the greatest person that we can be. And helping women, other women, as they read those chapters in that book, understand and identify with women who maybe had a similar struggle to them, maybe had things that were spoken over them as a child that caused them to think differently or less about themselves, or to not be willing to take chances or risk because someone said they can only be so much. And so to help women be able to get unboxed from that thinking, to transform their thinking, that is the most important thing in the world that you can do for someone.
I saw a lot of those qualities in you when we worked together at the Sun Herald, but ultimately it's true that when you left the Sun Herald, you unboxed yourself.
That's exactly it.
It's incredible to see what you've accomplished since you left the Sun Herald.
Yeah. Love the Sun Herald. Love so many people there. Learn from so many people like you, Ricky. You definitely were a mentor. But the job title is what boxed me in. I became very focused on the responsibilities of the job. And when I finally left the newsroom and moved over to the special projects division of the company, that's when I began to really open up and realize that there was so much more to me than just publishing newspapers. I will never forget the day that you came in after Katrina and you started talking about publishing a book. And, it's like, early week, and I'm thinking to myself, I have a million things I need to be focused on. And here he is talking about, with excitement, well, we're going to publish a book. And we got going with that book project, and we got some help from some other people within the newspaper chain we worked in. And this book, I can't even describe to you what I think the impact of it is.
Let's do this. Let's come back to that. And then once we have that conversation, because I really want you to finish reflecting that and talk about the impact, I want to go back to the beginning.
Okay.
The youngest of 6 children, and what brought you to the coast, and let's start to build a foundation of Dorothy Wilson. So anyway, we have Dorothy Wilson. She's a woman with many hats and a very inspirational story. We'll be back after this break to continue her story.
Listen live or on demand and watch episodes of Coast View on your laptop, desktop, or on your phone or tablet by going to supertalkmsgulfcoast.com.
So you probably already know Adventures Pub and Spirits has won awards for local favorites Hang Out on the Coast and Best Bar on the Coast, but you may not know that Adventures also features an excellent lunch special menu Monday through Friday. Homemade lasagna, burgundy beef tips, chicken fried steak, shrimp creole, and more for only $8.95. Oh, my personal favorite, the seafood pie loaded up. Lump crab meat, shrimp and cheese, baked in a flaky pie crust. Adventures Pub and Spirits, 1 block north of the Hard Rock, next door to City Hall on Lemuse.
I'm J.B. Brown, one of the sports medicine doctors at Bienville Orthopedic Specialist. So athletes put their bodies through an extreme amount of activity, and sometimes they will have strains and sprains. So the difference boils down to a couple of different things here. Sprains are typically used to refer to stretching or tearing a ligament, and ligaments connect our bones together. Strains, on the other hand, are referred to muscle injuries or tendon injuries, which attach those muscles to the bone. Anytime an athlete experiences either of these, their symptoms always include pain, swelling, soreness, and if it's severe enough, they may not be able to continue in their athletic endeavors. Sometimes they'll have bruising and stiffness, and sometimes muscle spasm occurs. So once that happens to an athlete, we recommend that they discontinue their athletic activity and seek some medical care. What we like to do is to get the body part elevated as soon as possible. We like to place ice on it. We start anti-inflammatory medications. So this gives them a chance to start the healing process quickly, which allows us to get them back into the game sooner than if we waited a little bit later.
Spring is just around the corner, and now's a great time to get in the driver's seat of that new John Deere you've been dreaming of when you shop with your neighbors at SunSouth. Whether you're cutting, disking, planting, or harvesting, think SunSouth, where you'll find the quality John Deere equipment to meet your needs, affordably priced to save you time and money. Like the fast and efficient John Deere Z915E zero-turn mower as low as $109 a month. And if you need to tackle larger jobs, think SunSouth for the John Deere 3025E package, including tractor, trailer, loader, box blade, and rotary cutter for as low as $285 a month with 0% financing available. Come see how easy it is to own a John Deere when you visit SunSouth. For a full line of affordable John Deere equipment to get your outdoor jobs done faster and more efficiently, think SunSouth, for those that do.
Pricing plus taxes and fees. Financing with approved credit. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details. Expires March 7, 2020.
Since 1950, when you needed help and advice from an experienced attorney, you turned to Boyce Holloman and Associates. Standing on the principles of experience, integrity, and results, Boyce Holloman and Associates can help you and your family with a variety of legal matters. When you come to Boyce Holloman and Associates of Gulfport, every client, every case gets the level of service from attorneys and staff who honor the legacy of Boyce Holloman's tradition of excellence. See Dean and Tim Holloman at Boyce Holloman and Associates, 1720 23rd Avenue, Gulfport.
This is Coast View with Ricky Matthews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back. We have Dorothy Wilson here, who's, like I said before the break, a woman with many hats, but I think her most important thing is that she inspires people. And you'll understand why as we continue this conversation. But we were talking about her time at the Sun Herald.
Yeah.
And the Katrina book that we published, 8 Hours That Changed the Mississippi Coast Forever. But I didn't want to cut you off. You can continue that thought.
I was just sharing that the significance of the book, the impact of the book, it just continues to amaze me. There's a personal attachment to this book with everyone who went through Katrina here on the coast. So my husband and I own a moving company. I don't know if you know that, Ricky.
I do.
But, so we go into people's houses and we see them on the coffee table or prominently, displayed on a bookshelf. And I'll mention, hey, I was part of that book project. And they'll kind of look at me strange. And I say, open it up. Look at the staff, the team page. And they'll look at it. And they're like, wow, you were part of this book project. And they start talking about it. And they start talking about we can't ever forget, even though it was horrific, we can't ever forget what we learned from Katrina. And I think they hold on to this book, not just as memorabilia, but it's almost as though it is a living reminder of what we learned about community, about helping one another, about having a shared story, a shared journey. And it's fantastic to me to have been a part of that, even though Katrina was hard on all of us.
I think, Dorothy, that it conveyed the spirit of coastal Mississippians. And it's come up over and over again in these conversations, the old adage that buildings don't make a community, the people do.
That's it.
And, at the end of this, in the last chapter of the book, we wanted to really reflect on that we're gonna make it through this. There's a tremendous amount of hope. It's tough, and we did.
Yeah.
And we learned a lot about ourselves and our community as a result of it.
Yeah, that's it.
So I loved working with you on Beach Boulevard. It was something I felt strong about because it was something. In it, we had this goal not to have any destruction. We wanted it to only show the best of coastal Mississippi. And
and Ricky, that was another one of those projects. You just call me in, and it's like middle of the week, we got 10 publications we're trying to put out, and you're like, we're going to do a magazine. Yeah. And I really want to focus on everything that's good, the best of South Mississippi. And I had this deer in the headlights look on my face. And I'm like, is this guy for real? How are we going to do that? I've been in publishing for, I don't know, almost 30 years. I never published a magazine. I know, what I know is special sections. And, hey, now I know how to publish a book. But, hey, a magazine? And but, Ricky, that was one of the wonderful things about working with you at the Sun Herald is that you were always open to pushing forward in a new direction, trying something new. And when you believed in something, you didn't ask people to join you in believing it. You just believed that what you believed was big enough that they would get excited about
I'm going to say to you what I said to Roland. You're doing a great job of deflecting. This show is not about me, it's about you. But let's go back. So you were the youngest of 6 children.
Yes.
And you grew up in Georgia, went to University of Georgia. Just kind of tell us a little bit about your early life.
A lot of people don't know this. I grew up in a rural area outside of Augusta, Georgia, I guess about 45 minutes outside of Augusta. And my dad was a sharecropper. And so the house I lived in as a little girl was what's called a clapboard house. And we had no electricity, no running water. And my earliest memories are of helping my brothers and sisters cut wood in the afternoons. And, of course, I couldn't wield the axe, so I was the limb puller. They trimmed the limbs off the trees, and I'd move them out and so that they, the area would be cleared. And then go into the spring to get buckets of water. And I laugh sometimes with people, and I tell them, you got to carry your own bucket. and that reference comes from being a little girl. Everybody had to go to the spring with their galvanized buckets and get water. And I was so young, by the time we got back home, I had spilled most of my water. But I carried that bucket.
You carried that bucket.
I got it back.
So you went to the University of Georgia.
Yeah.
Got a degree in?
Communications, journalism.
And tell them what you did on your retirement. On your graduation day.
Well, as soon as I left the stadium, Sanford Stadium, I took off that cap and that gown, and I got into my blue Pinto, old car, old car.
Pinto.
It's a Pinto. And I drove to the Ford dealership, and I bought me a new car. And I had told a few people, the day I graduate, I'm going to buy me a new car. And they just kind of looked at me like I was crazy. It's like, you just graduated. You
hadn't even started your job yet.
Started a job. You have a new car. And it's like, you have to, sometimes you have to set your eyes high, and you have to be determined.
Yeah.
And you have to, by any means necessary, you got to move the roadblocks to get there. And I was determined, after driving that Pinto through college, that I was going to have a decent car.
So you went to the Augusta newspaper.
Yes.
And worked there for a while, and then went to
8 years.
8 years.
8 years.
I didn't realize it was that long.
Yeah, I started out as a reporter, and after a couple of years there, I've always been an overachiever. Always got great reviews. My boss called me in for a review, and he said, "You don't have ambition." And it made me so mad. I could not believe he was saying that to me.
Yeah.
But what they wanted me to do was they wanted me to move over to the editing desk to help with editing. And I sort of, if I'd finished my shift early, I would help the copy desk with editing. And they really saw a lot of potential in me. But look, I went to school to be a reporter. I didn't think I wanted to do that. And so he told me that. I was like, by golly, sign me up.
So from there, you went to Columbia.
Yes, and I'll tell you just real quickly how I ended up in Columbia. Knight Ridder, the newspaper chain. One of the things that I had learned about them is that they invested a lot in women and diversity as far as color.
Yeah.
And I felt that if I was going to really amplify my career, I needed more development and training than I was going to get where I was. And so I strategically targeted newspapers in that chain. And so in the same week, I interviewed at the Charlotte newspaper and the Columbia, South Carolina newspaper, and it came down to the people.
Wow.
The people are always important.
Knight Ridder, books could be written about Knight Ridders, their commitment to development. You went to the Knight Ridder Leadership Program, as I did. Their belief that the newsroom should reflect the communities that they're covering, and they didn't just say it, they believed it, and they were a leader in the industry to try to bring about diversity in their companies.
Yes.
And it was, unfortunately, when Knight Ridder was merged, they were really focused on surviving now as a company.
Yeah.
We weren't able to, or they weren't able to focus on those things the way that they did before. But as you pointed out, we worked at the Sun Herald at a time when the industry was in a different place, and the Sun Herald was probably in some of the best days of its history.
For sure.
We learned after Katrina what we learned about the role the newspaper plays in the community. Talk a little bit about that.
My time in the newsroom as managing editor, we brought in some really terrific journalists, focused, passionate journalists. Some of them are still there. Anita Lee and Margaret Baker. Jeff Pender is no longer there, but he was there. Greg LaCour. Kat Bergeron, of course, she had been there a long time. Pam Furman. Those were some of the people who were in the newsroom at that time. It was a dream team. It really was. So we grew the number of people who were reporting to the community, but we launched the local strategy, which was an intensified effort to make sure we really covered all of South Mississippi, not just the nucleus, Gulfport, Biloxi, but we were all the way over in Pascagoula. We call it state line to state line.
Chris Urban, who we hired to work with us on that strategy, I literally, when you said that, it just all came back to me. Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, and what's in each of those. It's amazing how they got seared in our memories.
Oh, yeah. And I think my biggest contribution in the newsroom, Ricky, was structure and the quality of people, really in processes. Bringing that to the newsroom to allow us to be not only more efficient, but more excellent in what we were doing. And so we created some of the greatest journalism in Mississippi during that time. I particularly remember the judges' investigation, working with Anita Lee, and I think there were maybe 3 reporters on that team. And there were some nights that I was up at 2:00 talking to the newspaper's attorney, Henry Laird, going line by line by line. And I feel like during that time that I got a law degree.
Well, Henry was a good teacher.
Yes, he was.
He was a good teacher.
He was so patient.
He was a great lawyer. Joel Blass's name actually came up in the conversation yesterday about Boyce Holloman, and I'm like, wow, he was also our lawyer, back in the day.
Well, we did some good work.
Henry was a good one. He was a good one. Yeah, and it's great to reflect in such a positive way about the way it was, because it was an amazing time.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do when we come back, I want to know what is it that made Dorothy decide to completely unbox herself, take significant risk, and go buy a magazine, which was the beginning of who knows what else is going to be coming after that. But we'll be back with Dorothy Wilson, quite an inspiration, after this break.
These are going.
From the Singing River Electric and Coast Electric Newsroom, your news now.
More details have been released by the Gulfport Police Department about the officer-involved shooting over the weekend. An officer responding to multiple calls of a disturbance on 25th Street was approaching the home on foot when a vehicle leaving the residence drove towards the officer, prompting that officer to fire at the suspect. Biloxi Police and the Mississippi Bureau of Investigations are handling the case. A Pearl River County man has been arrested for numerous car burglaries in Chalmette. 24-year-old Cody Cuevas is being held on charges of simple burglary and possession of stolen property of nearly a dozen car burglaries. Throughout the investigation, detectives were able to identify Cuevas through eyewitness accounts and video surveillance. Long Beach High School now has a new head football coach. On Monday, the school made it official by announcing that Ryan Ross has been hired to take over the Bearcats. Ross comes from Ocean Springs, where he led the team to the playoffs in 6 of 9 seasons with the Greyhounds. For SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1, I'm Kyle Curley.
Everyone in my family uses electricity differently. But when it comes to our Touchstone Energy Cooperative, we all think about it the same way. The co-op is power. Sure, electricity turns the lights on, but power is the information I get from my co-op about efficiency, safety, technology. And I trust the co-op because we are the co-op.
They're our neighbors.
Our friends. Our home.
Brought to you by Coast Electric and Singing River Electric, your Touchstone Energy Cooperatives.
When the power goes out, you feel helpless. Stumbling in the dark, especially during a hurricane, is dreadful. Bay Motor Winding wants you to have your comfort and independence. A Briggs & Stratton standby generator system from Bay Motor Winding will automatically power your entire home, keeping the lights, appliances, and cooling running smoothly. Select Briggs & Stratton generators come with a 10-year parts and labor warranty. Visit baymotorwinding.com before the power goes out.
Are you ready to invest in your future and work with a Southern brand you know and trust? Jenny King, the king of clean, is in very high demand right now in this area. So we're looking for motivated, customer-oriented people who want to pursue the dream of working for themselves, but not by themselves. Go to JennyKingCleans.com now and see how our proven track record can help you become financially independent with a company that has been cleaning for over 30 years. That's JennyKingCleans.com.
Jenny King, the king of clean.
Inspire students and elevate learning outcomes with Ricoh Interactive Whiteboards from R.J. Young. Easily write, draw, edit, move, and save information. Connect your laptop or mobile device to turn static content into interactive lessons. Encourage participation with the easy-to-use Windows 10-based controller. To begin empowering educators, visit rjyoung.com/whiteboards.
What would you do with extra cash? Take a bucket list vacation? Put in a pool? Pay off high-interest debt? Why not let the equity in your home pay you back for all the years you've paid into it? With Keesler Federal Credit Union's low-rate home equity loan or line of credit, you'll have the freedom and flexibility to do whatever matters most to you. Apply today at kfcu.org.
Available on primary residence only in Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, and Florida. Membership and credit eligibility required. Equal housing lender. NMLS number 408911.
Summer days, winter nights, my heating and air ain't working right. Before my troubles get any worse, I'll pick up the phone and sing this verse. Barnes, oh Barnes, won't you help me? Barnes Heating and Air.
Hello, Barnes Heating and Air.
Barnes Heating and Air, 832-9457. 832-9457.
This is Fox on Justice. Royce Williams was injured in a Kansas car accident in 2015. After a hospital stay, he needed help doing basic things at home. And so his wife, Mary, took time off from her job to be there for Royce. They worked out an arrangement where Royce would pay Mary $25 a day to make meals, help him in the bathroom, and do laundry. Over 3 months, the total came to $2,625. They submitted a claim for that amount to their car insurance company, but Geico denied the claim. The reasoning, one spouse is required to care for the other without pay because that's part of the marriage agreement. If Royce had hired anyone else to take care of him, Geico would pay, but not Mary. The Williamses went to court and lost, but on appeal, the Kansas Supreme Court disagreed and ordered Geico to pay the caregiver even if you're married to her. With Fox on Justice, Hank Weinblum, Fox News.
The Mississippi Power Weather Center. Your weather now.
Cloudy with a 30% chance of showers today, high near 69. Tonight, that chance of rain stays at 30%. Could see a thunderstorm mixed in there as well. Cloudy, the overnight low 61. Numerous showers and thunderstorms in store for tomorrow and Thursday. The afternoon high near 72. Tomorrow night's low 53. On Thursday, the high near 60. Visit MississippiPower.com/ways to save to learn about programs and resources that can help you save energy and money on your electric bill.
He's the former president and publisher of the Sun Herald, and now he's on the radio. Welcome to Coast View with Ricky Matthews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back. We've got Dorothy Wilson with us. She is the publisher and editor of Gulf Coast Women magazine, among other things. So we've gone on your journey, from what took you from Georgia to here, your early life, which is, I love the bucket, carry your bucket story. But what I want to do now is you left the Sun Herald and you unboxed yourself, as you say in your book, and you decided to buy a magazine.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about that.
Sure can. After you spent nearly 30 years doing something, at some point, sometimes in your life, you look back and you say, what have I achieved and what's next? And it was kind of one of those, what do I really want to be when I grow up moments? And as I reflected back, one of the things that I was proudest of was Beach Boulevard magazine. Best in the state, several years in a row. I love magazines. Mm-hmm. A magazine is a person. It's someone that you spend time with. A magazine has a personality like no other type printed product. It has different aspects of its personality. It's a good friend, somebody you spend time with. And so in saying that, I knew that I could not go back into another corporate type box where my job title and my responsibilities define me. I needed freedom to knock the top off the box and to explore some things, to try some things. And so I'd heard that Gulf Coast Woman magazine was for sale. And initially, I couldn't find it, and I got frustrated. And I remember one day I was driving north on Highway 49, right there by the Walmart, and I heard God speak to me. And I don't hear God speak to me like this very often. And he said, pursue Gulf Coast Woman. And I wanted to get out of my car and just start screaming at the sky. It's like I've been looking for it for 2 weeks. Where is it? And the next morning, I walked into the night nonprofit center and saw a stack and connected with Angela Bruni, who started the magazine, and the rest is history. We became great friends. She had too much on her plate. I wanted her to continue to be part of the magazine, and so we put together a situation that allowed her to continue to have a role with the magazine, to continue to be a co-owner in the magazine, but allowed me to take over the day-to-day operation of the magazine.
So you pretty quickly went about doing things to the magazine, improving it. I can feel when I look at the magazine today, I feel a lot of the learnings from Beach Boulevard.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
So talk about the improvements and the different things that you brought to the magazine.
The most important thing about a magazine is that you have to know who you are and what your voice is. But you also have to understand the why behind what you're doing. You can't just say I'm reporting or I'm telling stories. The why behind what we do, and that's the reason we have so many columnists and resources, information in the magazine, it is to empower women. And that's the essence of who I am, and that came from my childhood through things that have happened to me in other, seasons of my life, is I have learned that I'm here on earth, in this place, in this space, to empower women, to help them be the best unboxed version of themselves that they can be. And so that's the passion in it for me behind Gulf Coast Woman. And the way to do that looks so many different ways. A woman wears lots of different dresses and shoes. Come on here. And so, it's social media, it's digital media. A lot of people don't know this, but we have an affiliate digital company that where we're able to offer more digital products than probably many of the other mediums in the market. And that's one of the things we're growing into. But also events, bridal events, other types of events. We invest heavily into helping small and medium-sized businesses grow, and we invest heavily in helping major, large companies brand themselves. Magazines are a great place to do that.
So, Dorothy, during the break, we were talking about these moments that occur in people's lives that change their life. And I said there's a common theme through all of these successful people that I'm talking to, that ultimately the question is, are you ready to seize the moment when it occurs? Do you recognize it? Are you ready for it? The magazine opportunity was just a moment for you.
Yes.
An incredible opportunity at that time, and you were ready to seize it. You sort of unboxed yourself listening for that message, but it was a big moment for you, wasn't it? And it just, as you pointed out, it unleashed other opportunities for you way beyond just publishing a magazine.
But here's the thing, Ricky. So you're scared, do it scared.
Yeah.
You will never realize your fullest potential unless you're willing to take chances, to invest in yourself. Yeah, at some point you realize, hey, I went down a wrong road, and you turn around and you get out of there quick. But you have to be willing to take the chances, the opportunities, when they present themselves. I was looking at some old records for Gulf Coast Woman recently, and I will share this. Annually, the magazine was at $66,000 a year. I made like $26,000 the first year with Gulf Coast Woman, and every year we have increased more than 25% year-over-year growth. To grow it into the publication that it is. I'm very proud of that.
That's awesome. That is really important. So what led you, and I know you say this in your spare time you did this, but tell us about the conference.
Okay, real quick. When I looked around the coast landscape, I kept looking for something that locally, you could go elsewhere all over the country, and you could find these women conferences where women could be developed. And I thought about my development and all the key people. Vicki Applewhite just really sewed into me. Many other people like Karen Sock, Lucy Marion Roberts was a great encouragement to me.
These and women, me too.
But there were, to me, there were a whole another generation of women coming behind me who did not have the encouragement they needed in their careers, and they didn't have the opportunity to connect with some of the other most powerful women in the community. And so I didn't want to just do a women's event. I wanted to do a professional women's conference. And so we set out to do that. We had about a little over 500 women the first year. We were ready to drop dead. It was so much work. Oh my God, it was so much work. And then, we've grown. Last year we had, I think, 103 speakers, presenters, as part of the Success Women's Conference. And we have grown every year, not just in numbers, but in partnerships and in opportunities. In 2019, we had nearly 400 high school girls.
Wow.
That we offered a youth summit within the conference, and we took advantage of speakers that we flew in from out of town for the women. And we peeled off some of them and said, hey, we want you to go over here and encourage the young women. And so the conference, when you talk to women who attend the conference, it is like an otherworld experience. And I'm not exaggerating that. I talked to Sheila Rivers recently, and she said, I left Success Women's Conference, and I started my therapy practice. She owns Rivers Psychotherapy. And we hear stories like that all the time of women becoming unboxed as a result of finding mentors, understanding their potential. We hear from women who say, I went in and I asked for the big raise. You're not going to believe this, but I got a $10,000 raise. Okay, things like that.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Well, Dorothy, I said at the outset of the show today that women from 24 different states came. How did they learn about it?
Listen, if you don't have a whole lot of money for marketing and you're dependent on sponsorships, social media.
Yeah. Good.
People locally get very, very tired of all the posts that we make on social media, but it's important not only for women to interact and engage with other South Mississippi women, but they also need to have women from other larger places. They need to interact with them, learn from them, have an opportunity to find mentors outside of the place where we live. And so we've made a very, very concentrated effort to grow the number of participants from outside of Mississippi. We need cross-pollination.
Yeah, I mean, the opportunity for people to get to know each other. Todd Trenchard said that through the Baco McCarty Foundation, people think it's about money, but it's not. It's about relationship. It's about having people come together. And when people who have above average expectations of themselves come together for themselves and the community, good things will happen.
Yeah.
And that's what you're talking about here with this cross-pollination.
That's it.
You know, what I want to do in this next segment, I want to talk a little bit about the chamber. You know, you're the incoming chairman of the Coast Chamber. I'm so proud to hear that you're doing that. You know, I spent so many years involved in the chamber, and what they do is so important.
Yes.
They have such an important role. But then I want to reflect for a minute about, you know, now that you're where you are, where do you go from here?
Yeah.
What's next for Dorothy? How do you continue to take this inspiration and touch as many people as possible? I just want to have a conversation about that.
Okay.
So we'll be back with Dorothy Wilson, the publisher and editor of the Gulf Coast Women magazine, and other things after this break.
Subscribe for free to the Coast View podcast on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This Saturday, Goodwill of South Mississippi is having its 50% off everything sale, excluding new goods and gift cards. Visit Goodwill Industries of South Mississippi on Facebook for a list of locations and exclusions. 50% off everything in the store this Saturday. Exclusions apply. Sidewalk side or neutral ground side. It doesn't matter if you can't fit everyone in the car on parade night. And don't forget to make space for throws. Visit Baldwin Subaru in Covington, and we'll show you how the Subaru Ascent is a Mardi Gras game changer. With 19 cup holders, there's spots for everyone's Go Cup, and room for 8 means Grandma won't have to compete with your beads for the last seat. Whether you're a sidewalk sider or a neutral ground sider, Baldwin Subaru has the parade vehicle for you. When you need to pick up a last-minute birthday card or gift, stop into Love's Pharmacy and Gifts in Pass Christian. Yes, Love's is a full-service pharmacy combining local hospitality and affordability. When half of the store has unique gifts, beautiful decorations for your home, fragrances, and free gift wrapping, you only have to make one stop. Love's Pharmacy and Gifts, 12345 Vidalia Road in Pass Christian. If you love great service with a smile, you'll love Love's Pharmacy, with a second location now open in Ocean Springs. Are you going to be turning 65 in the next 6 months? You really need to start working on your options right now. For the last 50 years, you've trusted Gary Smith to help you with those options, and he's still here for you today. Start looking for a simple card in your mailbox, not a piece of mail with an 800 number, but a simple card to say hello with a 228 number. That's Gary Smith. Talk to Gary and tell him what you're looking for and what you can afford for your Medicare supplemental insurance and Plan D prescription drug plan. That way you can keep your doctor and your meds. Call the Gary Smith Agency or visit online at GarySmithAgency.net. Our policy is taking care of you.
Since 1950, when you needed help and advice from an experienced attorney, you turned to Boyce Holloman and Associates. Standing on the principles of experience, integrity, and results, Boyce Holloman and Associates can help you and your family with a variety of legal matters. When you come to Boyce Holloman and Associates of Gulfport, every client, every case gets the level of service from attorneys and staff who honor the legacy of Boyce Holloman's tradition of excellence. See Dean and Tim Holloman at Boyce Holloman and Associates, 1720 23rd Avenue, Gulfport.
So you probably already know Adventures Pub and Spirits has won awards for local favorites Hangout on the Coast and Best Bar on the Coast, but you may not know that Adventures also features an excellent lunch special menu Monday through Friday. Homemade lasagna, burgundy beef tips, chicken fried steak, shrimp creole, and more for only $8.95. Oh, my personal favorite, the seafood pie loaded up with lump crab meat, shrimp and cheese baked in a flaky pie crust. Adventures Pub and Spirits, 1 block north of the Hard Rock, next door to City Hall on Lemuse.
Don't have a radio handy? That's okay. Listen to SuperTalk online at supertalk.fm or with the SuperTalk app. Just download it in your app store. This is where you come to talk. SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. We are with the fabulous Norbert Putnam as he played on so many hit records, you can't count them, and produced for some of the biggest acts ever. We got to talk Jimmy Buffett.
One day at breakfast, he says, I started a new song. He says, about a night and a day in Key West, I played a bar and I got drunk, and coming home, I stepped out on my flip-flop, and I just kept going. I stepped on a beer can. And the next morning, I'm up, and I'm hungover, and I'm trying to make a margarita. I got some shrimp boiling. I can't find the salt. I said, Jimmy, I kind of like this. And he said, yeah, I think I'll call it Margaritaville.
In a Mississippi Minute.
Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on your local SuperTalk Mississippi station and now on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
His love for the coast is why he's here. It's Coast View with Ricky Matthews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back. I've got Dorothy Wilson, my old friend from the Sun Herald, who now is the publisher and editor of Gulf Coast Women magazine, and a real inspiration. And it's just been a terrific conversation. She's the incoming president for the Coast Chamber, or chairman of the Coast Chamber. Talk about that for a minute, Dorothy.
Ricky, I'm so very excited to have this opportunity. I wrote down on a list at some point, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I'd want to be president of the chamber. But it was one of those things where it was like, ha, 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 yeah, that'd be great. And to be able to stand in that role, to be the face of the chamber, to have an opportunity to encourage people in business is wonderful. But the other thing is that I'm very humbled because I realize that it's not just me standing, but I'm standing for other women who aspire to be more influential in the community, but also particularly women of color. I hope to be an inspiration to them, that they can put things like that on their goal list and it can happen. And so it's going to be a great year. I'm looking forward to helping the chamber grow in the area of making itself accessible through not only events and their social page, but other ways of engagement and connecting. So I'm into communication, so that makes sense.
I love Adele Lyons.
Yes,
she's been such a force to be reckoned with in the nonprofit sector for a long time. We worked together in the Knight Foundation.
Yes.
Longtime friend of mine.
She's great to work with.
Longtime friend of my wife's family. So let's do this, and we only have a few more minutes. I want to just reflect with you just a few minutes about the message you want to leave people with, and what is your legacy going to be? You're still writing it, but it's clear that you're really on a track to try to touch as many people as you possibly can touch.
Yes.
To let them know that they control their own destiny, that there is incredible, opportunity out there. Talk about that for a minute.
Well, I watched my mother not realize her fullest potential as a young girl, and it has created something on the inside of me that drives me to want to see women in particular have opportunities to grow in many different directions, to take the limits off, to not allow obstacles, things that may happen. Life is an adventure, and around every curve is something that you might not have expected. How to navigate those curves and stay true to yourself. And so when I look ahead, Dorothy, what else will you be doing? I'm a communicator by trade. Okay, that's what I do. And so I am always going to push forward to relate to people in every medium possible. I am so excited. My team is working. We're creating an Instagram channel, and we're going to have probably about 12 experts talk about different areas, everything from beauty to health to eating well to leadership. And so I want to push all of those barriers that are out there that keep people from or limit people in getting the information that they want. And so I'm excited about growing the magazine in such a way that not only do you receive a wonderful experience in print, but you receive a beautiful digital expression of the magazine in bite-sized bits. Excited about that. So what's the end game? The end game for me is when my grandmother died when she was 92. My mother died when she was 91. So when I'm in my 90s, I want to be able to sit back and not think about the awards I received, the job titles and positions that I held, but I want to talk about the people whose lives I impacted. I want to be able to point to the lights. And I call it this. It is like taking one finger and touching a person ever so lightly, and they light up and they glow brighter as a result of having an opportunity to engage with me. It is about the people. That's the most impactful thing that you can do with your life on earth. And I take it very seriously, from raising my children, from being their best friends and continuing to lead and guide them. They say, Mom, I'm reluctant to tell you about this because I know you're going to sit down and give me this empowerment talk. That's what they tell me. They pick on me a lot now. But from coaching, I coach small group leaders in my church. That is so important. I want them to see and believe and understand the impact that they can have on others. So that's what the future looks like for me. It's a continuation of a journey that started from a little girl, grew up very poor without anything, but seeing the potential.
And again, the journey continues. I say this, that at the beginning of the show, I said that studying you and getting reacquainted with you, I left the Sun Herald in 2009, so I've sort of watched you from a distance in that period of time. But hearing your story and hearing your message is the reason why I did this show. I had the same aspiration for this show, and that is that through people like you, we can touch more people. We can remind people why they love the coast. We can remind people what it takes to lead this region. And they can be inspired by the incredibly successful people that we're talking to hear their story and actually pick up one or two things that they can use in their lives. If we can accomplish that through this show, man, we've been a big success.
You're doing a great job, Ricky, and I'm very proud of you that you're doing this at this stage in your life.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see where it goes. God bless you. It's been a wonderful time.
Same here.
We'll see you tomorrow. We have Shorty Sneed tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Look, he put your...